First topic up for today is the Schmuley Norman Finkelstein interview debate on Piers Morgan. Now, I would like to say this much too as well. I have no problem with white people or Jewish people standing up for the Palestinians and the genocide and the ethnic cleansing they think is taking place. They have every right to do so. However, I think we should hear from more Palestinian voices, and I hope they have more Palestinian voices on shows like Piers Morgan and others. And we can have some of those people debate and hear what they have to say straight from the horse's mouth, straight from people who have lost loved ones and family and friends inside Gaza. It is just a shame. So let's keep our eyes peeled out for. I know there's that Instagram dude or that TikTok dude who's got millions of viewers right now, and I think it's awesome what he's doing. Maybe we can get a hold of him and get him on the show. Oh, look at that. Super chat right out of the gate. What does it say? Benny Massimino. Hey, brother. Great to see you on YouTube and great to see you hanging out on YouTube and great to see you being able to leave a super chat. That's pretty awesome that you can do so. We haven't had these for a while. Let's get into it, though. Jamie Cheese Slice, I'm going to need you to guide me on this over here. I'm going to take a look and make sure that everything is okay on the channel itself. Come on in, Jamie. There is a glare in that screen in that top corner over there. So I don't know if it's from this. You know what? I can move that there. Jamie, let's go. What do we got? What's the first video up? And go full screen while I move the light, too, as well. I think it's that light. But what do we got?
The first thing we got is just who is Rabbi Shmuley. And this is a lovely piece I found that he did recently where let me scoot over. Where he was showing off his products that are sold by his daughter. Sorry, I've got too many buttons. So let's just go ahead and play this real quick.
Kosher sex, sorry. I should do this more professionally, but I'm just too excited about it. I'm so proud of this. Kosher sex.
Excited about it.
My shaman, made in Israel, baby. From Israel, love is going out. Make love and war. Israel has to make war right now against Hamas because they're monsters and killers. And as long as they continue to slaughter people, there's not going to be peace. We have to destroy Hamas. But that doesn't mean that Jewish marriages should suffer in the meantime. Make love and war. It's almost like you have to choose. Make love, not war. Now, sometimes you got to make love and war. And, my daughter Hannah she gives a lot of these products free to Jewish soldiers, married Jewish soldiers, the idea of soldiers. Made in Israel, baby. Let me get a good picture of this. Hold on. While I do this video. I got to do this holding it with one hand. Hold on.
He wants to make love and war at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Made in Israel, baby. Woo! It says made in.
So that was just a little piece to show you like what Shmuley is all about. This guy, his whole purpose for existing is to be someone who promotes Israel, and that's all he does. So everything he says is just about Israel, Israel, Israel.
Interesting. Rabbi Shmuley, right? So we first learned about him, some of us, when RFK did his little fundraiser with him, his little event with him. And when I went up to New Hampshire to ask RFK that question, Rabbi Shmuley took my video and he reposted it out there, giving praise to RFK. The only problem is, Jamie, is then he then cut out, let me get this over here. He then cut out the last part where we asked about the Palestinians, and he didn't let RFK's response about Palestinians be played. So he kind of hid that response. It was kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. Guys, if you're over on the Convo Couch YouTube, go over to Pasta to Go. Jamie, make sure you're constantly putting the link in the chat so we can share it on out.
I will do that. Yeah, he's all about Israel, and he does not care about Palestinians one bit, and he skews the truth with whatever he says to be pro-Israel all the time. And like the guy's a used car salesman, and like I don't know anybody who could be in the same room with him and not feel greasy. Just he's awful. But we're gonna get into this whole Norman Finkelstein and Schmuley interview, and it's just I had to sit through it twice, and you should be thankful that you at home didn't have to sit through this once because it was really tough to watch.
Well, cool. This is the next video I can see right over here, We got the panel over there. Piers Morgan, right? Piers Morgan doing some good work as of late, having a lot of people on.
You know what?
Had Norman Finkelstein on with Dershowitz once before. This is the first time with Schmuley. And really, to tell you the truth, I think this is an example of what a lot of establishment-friendly foes do, or people from Israel who are pro-Israeli, what they do all the time. They don't want to argue the facts and the merits on what's really going on. They want to argue and kind of smear ad hominem attacks at their opponent because they really don't have a lot of things to stand on. At the end of the day, if you really are against Hamas, are you still going to justify all the killing of so many civilians, mostly women and children in Gaza, to do so? I mean, really, if they want to get rid of Hamas, why not just go in there and get rid of Hamas? Go into the tunnels, go down there and grab them. You know, I mean, I've said before, and a lot of people have backed this up, that the IDF is not really ready for this type of war, tunnel warfare, as I like to call it. I made the term, I used the quote from Jesse Ventura in the movie Predator. They're dug in there like an Alabama tick. They're deep in there. And this is not a comfortable war for the IDF to go in there and do so. They're not used to this guerrilla-style warfare. They're used to bombing from afar and then maybe mopping up after. And it is hard to say that this is really about Hamas when they constantly are bombing civilians and children. And that's for you to decide, ladies and gentlemen, whether you be pro-Israeli or, you know, pro-Palestinian or just anti-death. You know, I think a lot of people would have still supported RFK had he said, I stand for Israel. However, there should be a ceasefire and we should talk this out. He has not. Him, along with everybody else, the United States the other day vetoing a resolution for a ceasefire. I mean, it's ridiculous. They don't want this to end. And then what happened on the Super Bowl while everybody was busy watching Usher at the halftime show with Little John and Ludacris and everybody else, they started bombing Rafah. And a lot of people you saw, there was some video of people saying, why are they bombing? They told us to come to this safe zone. And that was the whole thing. They said, well, these people are dying because they're not listening. They haven't got out. Well, here they are. They go to Rafah and then they get bombed. They bombed the refugee camp to get one Hamas leader. Do you think that's justified or justifiable? You let me know there in the chat, guys. Thank you so much. And do us a favor, hit a like, hit a share, and make sure you go over to Pasta to Go and follow us on the new YouTube channel. So let's play the first clip and take a look at it. Then we'll analyze it from there. I think one of the most pressing questions out there and what people try to do, especially when they're standing on the Israeli side, is saying, yes or no, do you think Hamas should lead? Yes or no? And that's a very interesting question because you might not believe that Hamas is capable of leading or has the right to lead because you might believe that they're a terrorist group. But so much led up to Hamas taking power. And a lot of people, understand that in 1947, 1948, when they had that first Nakba, Hamas wasn't around. They threw everybody in the Gaza Strip, and then Hamas formed. And if you want to talk about the mistreatment of the Palestinians in the West Bank, there's no Hamas there. What's the excuse there? So they're running out of excuses. However, they're not running out of weaponry. They're not running out of time because the United States continues to back them while they give lip service to the American people, acting like they want the Netanyahu government to straighten up and fly right. Now there's been huge protests in Israel against Netanyahu again. And it seems like the Israelis are using the playbook that the United States has used for so many years. When the ruling class gets in trouble, when the government gets in trouble, and the people start making noise and start protesting, they take us to war. Gerald Celente said the other day on this show, he says, it doesn't make a difference what's going to happen. As soon as we start pushing back, they're going to take us to war. And it seems like they're gearing up for a big war in Taiwan. So if Donald Trump gets in there, you believe he's anti-establishment or not, all his cronies and everybody in CPAC today are blaming China for everything without a lick of proof. Conjecture, speculation, nothing behind it. So it seems like whatever angle we have, and I know a lot of people are there who are pro-Trump, think that he's going to be the savior and straighten things out. Well, what happened last time, right? Let's take a look at the first video and we'll break it on down. Remember, Pasta to Go, everybody.
You know, one black man was murdered in Minnesota. His name was George Floyd, and tens of millions of people marched against his murder. God bless them. But for you, it would have had, we need 49 other dead black men before they start marching. You know,
I don't even get where he's coming from. And once again, this is a tactic used by a lot of pro-Israelis right now and a lot of people in our government and people in our press. Just attack the person, smear the messenger. If you have nothing, if you can't fight on the issue at hand, you just attack the other person. And that tactic is starting to get old. So it's mind-boggling to me. And, Shmuley does a lot what Donald Trump does. He just praises anything no matter what. Oh, I killed Finkelstein. I disassembled him, whatnot. Even though a lot of people say you got your asses handed to you, because even Piers Morgan made comments about it. Jamie, you got anything to say about this?
Well, I think I said everything I needed to. Like, this is all he's about. He's ad hominem attacks. He's a character assassin, and he's not addressing the issues because he can't defend the issues. When you start looking at what's actually going on in Gaza, there's no way you can describe it as anything other than a genocide. But people like Schmuley, they either try to paint it with with all these pretty colors, or they just avoid it and attack the person who's pointing out the truth.
Let's get to the next part of the interview. Angelica Duenas is here. She's in the green room, ladies and gentlemen. We'll bring her on towards the end. She's not just an awesome, badass person running for Congress. She's also a friend, and we'll get her in here. I went to the Palestinian March with her in L.A. when we were reporting out there and talking to people, so she'll have a lot to say. But let's play a little bit more of everybody's favorite rabbi, Shmuley, and Norman Finkelstein on Piers Morgan. Take a listen.
You said that Hamas disqualified itself from leadership because of the atrocity that was committed, or atrocities that were committed October 7th.
Yes.
Now, if you agree with the head of the National Security Council of Israel at the time in 2004, that Hamas is a huge concentration camp. I'm quoting him now.
Gaza, you mean?
Would you also agree that October 7th was a reaction to confining 1 million children in a concentration camp?
Okay, Piers, he's not
You
answering
want
your
to
question. He
see-
never will. But Piers, I have to
All
be
right,
fair
let me
here.
bring in Rabbi
participate in
Shmuley,
this
because he's
debate,
been
please.
waiting
Okay.
patiently.
Okay.
More
okay.
patient than you normally do. So off you go.
Every time, there's one main reason I wanted to do this debate, and Piers, thank you for having me. I'll tell you what it is. There were 6 million Jews who were turned into ash and lampshades and shot, and they're in, graves. They have no voice. Their only tomb is our memory. Norman Finkelstein is a Holocaust denier.
No, he is not a Holocaust denier. And thank you to the 77 people watching over on the combo couch. Do us a favor, go over to Pasta to Go and get us a like and a subscribe over there if you could. It'd be awesome. And thank you to all the people watching on Rumble. How many people we have on Rumble? Want to see that real quick? We have almost 80 people. And we also have ourselves going on, I believe, Twitter. I'm going to check that out too as well. But listen, guys, he is not a Holocaust denier. And once again, Shmuley keeps going on with the ad hominem attacks, just tried to smear the messenger time and time and time again. Norman Finkelstein has spoken about the Holocaust, talked about his parents dying in the Holocaust. One of the most famous videos that Norman Finkelstein had was a video called Crocodile Tears, in which he talks about he doesn't like to play the Holocaust card, but he's going to use it at this moment in time to express to these people about what is going on. And then he went on to say that it was what he learned from his parents and the rest of his family, that they should never, ever, ever be crying for what the Israelis are doing right now, or the treatment of the Israelis, because what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians is unjust. It's almost flipped. And this is something Lula da Silva has talked about from Brazil, about they're committing the same atrocities that Hitler did during the Holocaust. So that's up for you to decide what you think. Do you think that Shmuley has a point over here? Is Norman Finkelstein a Holocaust denier? I think a lot of us would say no, but that is for you to decide. I'm trying to keep some. I'm going to jump in again. Okay, I'm going to just try to keep it clean and kind of balanced, because we don't want to get demonetized over here on YouTube. So we try to present things in a form of a question and play both sides. Let's listen to the next part of this interview right over here as well. But do we have volume, Jamie? Jamie, there's no volume.
I'm going to jump in again because, again, what you're doing is attacking your other debater here.
He
but
said
you're not,
I suffer from
yeah,
dementia, for God's sake. Why don't you call him out on that? Dementia? Seriously?
With
Dementia?
respect, what you're not doing is answering the specific questions. There are many,
okay, so I'm
many.
going to answer the question. Okay,
you
so
know there are many,
the
many people around the world increasingly concerned about the scale of Israel's response, the appalling death toll of children, the appalling number of children also being orphaned, the appalling number of women being killed, innocent women, and they don't see an end game. They just see Israel continuing to bomb, kill, kill, kill. But how does this end? If the next stage is Rafah, which now has 6 times as many people in it as it did 4 months ago, and is a huge refugee camp, and you're trying to find just a few thousand Hamas amongst over 1.5 million people, then you're going to get even more people around the world saying this is a senseless way of conducting war. Now, what do you say?
I hear you. Okay.
Why didn't you play the rest of that clip? That's all that was played, Jamie?
Yeah, that was it. That was the whole clip there.
No.
Yeah, that's where it cut up.
We got to hear his answer there, brother.
Well, I didn't find that clip. That was from Twitter.
All right. So this is another clip over here. You can take yourself away. I'll get onto it real quick. Piers calls out Schmuley. Piers Morgan, and this is when Piers called out Schmuley. I completely destroyed Norman Finkelstein, short, Rabbi Shmuley, Piers Morgan, Israel, and Palestine. No, you did not. Most people think you got your ass handed to you, Rabbi Shmuley, because you didn't make an argument. All you did was attack the person, Norman Finkelstein. And Piers Morgan even told him you were very personally insulting to Norman Finkelstein, but he wasn't to you, despite extreme provocation. I thought you overdid the ad hominem attacks, and that's what happened. It was about these ad hominem attacks left and right. It really didn't have any arguments to stand on. Here it is. We'll show more of it with the character assassination. Go ahead, Jamie. Play the rest of this real quick.
Well, I'm not sure what was the purpose to inviting either me or Mr. Schmuley to this program, because obviously we are on 2 entirely different wavelengths. Mr. Schmuley is in the business, which is not surprising, of character assassination. He's in the business of libel. That's his job, because where he have to confront the facts, he would be in a very difficult situation. So let me make one clarification. None of my remarks bear on my personal opinions. I simply am repeating what the documentary record shows. Now, according to Mr. Schmuley, I am a liar because, according to Mr. Schmuley, the International Court of Justice explicitly concluded that Israel was not committing a genocide. Now, I would say that Mr. Schmuley is suffering from what I would call a Judeo-dementia, because there is no possibility on earth that any rational human being could have read the opinion or the ruling rendered by the International Court of Justice after the South Africa application and after the oral proceedings. There's no possibility on earth that any rational person can conclude that the International Court of Justice ruled that Israel was not committing a genocide. So we now have 2 difficulties. Number one, Mr. Schmuley seems to think his purpose to being on the program is to personally attack me, the Latin term ad hominem attacks. Number 2, Rabbi Schmuley seems incapable of processing very basic facts. If Mr. Schmuley believes that the International Court of Justice ruled explicitly that Israel was not committing genocide, if that's what he truly believes, then I would say he's suffering from some form of Judeo-dementia.
More of the same. And a lot of this interview was a lot about that. Pretty much Shmuley just denying everything, attacking Norm Finkelstein. I would have liked to have gotten over some of the points of view too as well when Norm Finkelstein had the kind of answer, and he never really did answer the question. And after we play this next clip, we'll talk about it. Does Hamas have a right to rule? Because that's the whole thing. Hamas is the elected leaders, and some people have used the fact that since the Palestinians have elected Hamas, they deserve what they get. But it's not like they had many choices. And if you have a situation where so many Palestinian boys are going to be oppressed by the state that is Israel, they'll side with anybody who's standing up to their oppressor, regardless of their tactics. And let's not forget that Israel created Hamas, supported Hamas, and funded Hamas. They wanted the people of Palestine to support Hamas, and the people of Palestine had no other choice. And the people of Hamas, they'll argue the only way they can fight back, and I know Don DeBar is here as well too, hanging out in the green room, and he'll be in eventually. When we talked about the fact that even the fact that you have a right to arm yourself as citizens to fight the government, right? Well, it's almost as if you are unarmed, and that's if you have automatic assault weapons and whatnot, because the weaponry that the government has in the United States is overpowering. You can't defend yourself. Same goes for the Palestinians. So they're going to fight back any way they can. How do you expect them to fight back? They don't have jets that they're coming from the United States and can bomb people on a regular basis. They're using things they take out of the ground with pipe bombs and using pipes to launch bottle rockets at Israel. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So what do you expect? Let's play this next video over here. You could say, this is the part where Shmuley said, and I'd like him to explain this too as well, because this is just mind-blowing. Israel is precise with their attacks. The only reason why so many women and children are being killed is because Hamas is hiding behind them. But you're saying that they're precise. And are you going to still justify Hamas as the reason that you're going to kill so many women and children? Take a look at this clip right here.
Pasta, this is a long clip, so let me know when you want to stop.
I will. I'll tell you when to stop it.
The Israelis are using surgical targeted strikes.
Well, they're killing a lot of children.
Because Hamas lives under their homes.
If Israel's
Hamas builds.
Rabbi Shmuley, with respect, if Israel's being that precise, why is it killing so many children?
Firstly, I want to know what is the accuracy of your numbers, because I trust Hamas as much as I trust they're complete liars. Secondly, Hamas, unfortunately, wants these children to die, because the more that die, the more you're going to challenge me on TV. Israel wants them to live. Israel withdrew in 2005. Hamas builds their military installations under these children's homes, under their kindergartens, under their nurseries, under their hospitals.
All right,
we now found 350 miles of tunnels under children's homes. That's the size of the New York subway system.
I want to be fair to both sides on time. Norma Finkelstein, your response.
What would you like me to respond to?
I suppose the analogy with World War II and the fact that indisputably, many hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of civilians died in that conflict. And the argument is it was for the greater good of defeating the Nazis. Do you see any parallel with wanting, and I completely understand Israel's desire, fervent desire, to eliminate Hamas after what they did on October the 7th, particularly as Hamas has stated again and again, they want to keep repeating it again and again. So on that particular argument about when you wage a war against whether it's the Nazis or Hamas, a lot of civilians tragically will get killed in the process, but ultimately that shouldn't stop you going ahead with the war to try and achieve your goal. What do you say to that?
What I would say to that is there's a very good reason why this case was brought before the International Court of Justice. That is, as I'm sure you know, that if you examine what Israel has done in Gaza since October 7th, by virtually every dimension you examine it, the intensity of the bombing, the density of the bombing, the magnitude of destruction of civilian dwellings, civilian infrastructure, the percentage, the absolute number of children killed, the relative number of children killed to combatants
pause.
killed, the percentage of women and
Jamie,
children.
can you pause? All right, so tell me where the lie is. Tell me where the lie is. Let's take this video down. I mean, it's more of the same. Let's get one of our persons in here. Let's bring in Angelica Duenas to talk about this real quick. Angelica, welcome to the show today. I'm glad you can join us. How you doing, girl?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Thank you
We
for
went
having
to
me.
the rally in LA together, the Palestinian rally. We spoke to some Palestinian people over there. I don't know where the lie is, and it's really hard to argue this fact. Every single human rights group, even when Shmuley tried to talk about the fact that he wouldn't believe Hamas in their numbers, trying to distort the fact that and make it look like Hamas is presenting these numbers while saying that they're using precise attacks. I don't know how he can present this. Do you have any thoughts or your opinions as far as how you would push back if you were in Congress tomorrow against any one of your colleagues or anybody from the Israeli government saying that they can justify their attacks by killing so many civilians because of Hamas? Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I think that that propaganda that we've been getting fed for years and years and years is like, it's falling apart. And I think that it's because people are kind of not watching TV anymore like they used to. People have canceled their cable packages, and people are consuming news using social media and other sources. And I think that right now we're seeing it live right before our very eyes, what's actually happening, which is an indiscriminate killing and murdering, massacring, and a genocide against the Palestinian people. People who haven't cared about the issue, and or maybe who were on the fence, and even people who were supporters of Israel have come around, and after seeing it's like 70 days or something. Where are we at? I'm not even sure anymore. It's gone for so long that it's undeniable for any regular person. Obviously, we're seeing the United States of America standing against the rest of the world. There in the United Nations and in other international forums, and it's really, really quite sad. I would use my platform to fight back, as a voice for peace. I also hope to be also an organizer for the peace movement, and mobilizing the people. We have to get out on the streets, and we have to
So in your
for peace. Sorry, it's a call came in.
you got cut off a little bit there. Did you want to finish your last sentence? What was your
Oh,
last
just
sentence?
that we need to organize a peace movement, and I would like to be a part of that. Also, once in Congress, to use our platform to organize, get on the ground, because that's the only way we're going to be able to get peace.
It's crazy because you're in LA, right? You're in LA County. You're running for Congress out there. It was old Tony Cardenas's seat, and he's going to retire, and he's funded heavily by the military-industrial complex. With so many people, and you know a lot of Muslim people that live in your district, and they seem to be taking a liking to you too as well. With so many people in LA, and the size of the rally we saw where the streets were just filled, why do you think there are so many pro-Israel lawmakers in California?
I mean, it's all about the Benjamins, right? Isn't that what Ilhan said? It comes down to the money, APAC and other pro-Israeli lobbies, groups, and PACs, super PACs, and other, corporatist groups have been funding these candidates for years and years and years, and Citizens United only made it worse. at the federal level. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to a whole lot of money. I mean, it's just, it's almost like recycling, right? It doesn't seem to work for plastic, but I guess it works for the Israeli, lobby, where we fund the country over there and military spending and all that stuff. And then they fund our candidates and in turn get those policies passed to get them more money, and it's been going on for quite a while now, and I think that that's the main reason why we're seeing a big a contrast between what the people want and what our representation is doing.
The donors seem to rule.